Hey everybody, so I finally got in the new drawer units for the Packouts. This is the new 2 plus a tall and then 4 drawer with the skinny drawers. And I put them side by side with the older model 3 drawer and 2 drawer just to kind of compare. And I found some really interesting things I want to show you guys. So these lasted about 5 minutes after they came in my door and I had to take them apart and see. One thing I was first super curious to figure out is if the 2 drawer unit had the same drawer as the bottom drawer on this. And so let's look at that. So I took the drawers out so you could see. They are the same height, but they're not the same drawer. And this becomes obvious when you flip them up. This is 703, drawer 3. And this is 548, drawer 2. This one also has a part number in the back. This one does not. For reference, this is the new drawer. This is the old drawer. Another difference you'll notice is these rails. These have straight profiles on the sides. These have tapered. I do think actually that this is slightly stiffer, and I'm guessing that's what they were going for. It also has beefier gussets in the back on the new drawer, and the new drawer no longer has these same cutouts that the old drawer previously had. Also, the height at which they mount the drawer slides is completely different for scale and for scale. So these are clearly 2 different boxes. However, the general dimensions of how the dividers work is the same because the dividers for this drawer and this drawer work interchangeably. I won't show that, but I tested it out. They're the same dividers, I do believe. Also on that note, something new about these, they started coming with enough dividers to completely fill all of the drawers. So both of these new models have enough to completely fill out all 4 drawers. So, I mean, for the price that these bins are, that's really nice to have that feature. Now, the boxes themselves, when you start comparing, there shouldn't be much comparison. You'd think they'd be identical. They're not. The frames are close in most, almost always, except interestingly enough, the new ones have this metal bar on both models. There's the 2 plus 1 and then the 4. Both of them have this metal bar that runs in the bottom, which is interesting. These ones don't. The old 2 drawer and 3 drawer. So it'll be super interesting to see if they actually add that back to the older models or revamp these in any way, or if they just only do this on these for some reason. I assume it's just a structural thing, but I can't really see any other purpose for why they would have added that, but interesting. The other subtle difference is, I get some light here. If you look in the back, they switch these plastic components on the left and the right that hold the drawer slides to these gray things. Now the gray things are actually the same between the 2 plus 1 and the 4 drawer. If you look in the back, there's your gray pieces and your gray pieces in the back. Focus. Well, she's not going to focus, but you get the point. So frames on these 2 drawers seem to be literally identical. All of these gray pieces between the 2 are identical. And I think they do that so that they can hot swap, obviously having similar frames. And then what they actually do is, if we go look at the sides, is they vary the height at which they put the rails into the drawers. So these 2 middle ones are lower. This one's almost centered. And then this drawer here, which I took out as the bottom one, and you can see that looks like the top one. But interestingly enough, the top one obviously has the logo, the bottom one does not. And again, they're all labeled. So this is 702.4, and if you look underneath, we got 702.3, 702.2, and 702.1, which it's just crazy to think that they possibly, based on those numbers, they could put that number in there with an insert, but it almost looks like there's at least 3 different styles. This one with the lower, these with the center, and then this drawer without the front knockout for that. So it's just crazy. There's at least 3 injection molds involved, it seems like, just in making these drawers. And then I think, for the most part, these top 2 here are just recycled versions, because this matches and this matches the lower ones. I didn't try yet, but I would almost guarantee those are hot swappable. But yeah, that's a lot of the new things that I observed. Something else interesting on these new drawers, these dividers are tapered with these tapered sidewalls and these much beefier center components. So debating whether or not I'm even going to bother making an aluminum piece that goes front to back for these, because these are already pretty darn good by comparison, I should say, to, like, for example, the pieces that came for this 2-drawer. I can walk over to show you that. Still not much bueno, which it's hard to do. But yeah, these came in pretty good condition. One little thing I found, one of my divider pieces came malformed and there's not an extra, so I'll have to see if I can get an extra, although I don't think I'll need it. They give you enough of these to kit out this drawer fully, and both the others. There's just piles of divider pieces. So that's nice to see, especially for the price. It's kind of nice to see. Let's see, any other differences? Yeah, so I talked about these gray components. The older style has a different setup. And it's actually interesting that like the top drawer here and the bottom drawer share almost nothing in common. Bracket height, front, very different. And then even on the 3-drawer here, you'd think there'd be some commonality. You'd be wrong. The heights at which they mount the brackets are all different between all 3 drawers. So it's just pretty crazy how many different components there is. And then there's like elements of, like with these gray things being shared in the metal bar and like the overall frame between these 2 boxes being nearly identical. There's a lot of like shared componentry and then just a lot of like totally bizarre componentry that's different. So kind of wild. I was going to try on this one, and I have not yet. I'm super curious if you could swap the big drawer to the top and put the little drawers to the bottom. So I'm going to see about that, and I'll make it a separate post about that. But yeah, that should pretty much cover it. That's most of the differences I observed and noticed. Most of the things that are new or notable or interesting. But yeah, I'll be very curious to see if they start adding this metal bar to the old ones, and if they swap over any of the internal componentry to these, or if they let these be and they let these be. But definitely pretty interesting.